Can you hear me, Rick?
Hello and welcome to
Yes,
the East
Fred.
Clampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Okay, welcome to the March meeting of the East St. Peter Township Sewer and Stormwater Authorities. And present we have Gavin Scaler, myself, Rick Robinson, Fred Clark on Zoom, Township employees, Ralph Hutchison, Charlie Thomas, Stephanie Leakway, Tara Hitchens, and from HRG, we have Matt Seachy. You can hear us, Fred?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I now invite you to join us in the pledge of the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am going to announce now, but I'll also announce that at the end, the authority will be having a confidential discussion with legal counsel following the meeting. Moving forward, we're going to go with the reorganization. Approval of minutes from February 12th meeting. We've had them minutes for at least 3 weeks. So unless there are any additions or corrections, they're going to stand approved as written. Treasurer's report under sanitary sewer.
Sanitary sewer has bills totaling $5,253.50, has a balance of $14,973.66.
Requisitions.
3 requisitions. The first is number 03-657. This is payable to Rubik Inc. for projects related to the South Room Pump Station upgrade, Strasburg Pike Sewer Extension Design and Permitting, the Hobson Road Sewer Line Project, and the South Room Pump Station Wetwell Line Project. Links in the amount of $3,740.50. The next is requisition number 03-658. This is payable to Mr. Rehab LLC for their construction work associated with the Hobson Road Sewer Lining Project. This is in the amount of $79,149.36. And the last is a requisition 659. This is payable to the United States Treasury, and this is for the yield restriction liability associated with the guaranteed sewer revenue bonds, Series A and B of 2019, in the amount of $48,739.52. So this one is new. We've come across this in the past. It's associated with the interest that the authority accrued on these revenue bonds that exceeded the interest rate that the bond was associated with. So you made more money off of the money that was borrowed versus that, and it's basically that money's being returned to the Treasury in accordance with the
$40,000.
Yes.
Oh,
So this is the approximately $3,000 agreement that you signed with Pliget for them to do the calculation at your last meeting.
Okay. Any questions, Fred?
No. Do you need a motion? I'll make a motion to pay the bills and requisitions.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Treasurer report stormwater.
Stormwater, we have checks and transfers of $8,808.05. We have a balance of $69,720.85.
Okay. Looking for a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
I will second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, moving forward. Under old business, under sanitary sewer, Stauffer Run upgrade.
Envirep, which is the Gorman Pump Manufacturer reps, they were out at the beginning of this week, picking up the spare pump impellers and referring them to Gorman Rupp so that they could be trimmed, associated with the upgrades to pump 1 and 2. So once, those pump impellers return with the new belt and fizz, they'll then be installed. But the first step in the process was getting it back to me. That's it first.
Okay. CFA funding.
The first one is the Oaks Pump Station elimination, Oaks Pump Station 2 elimination project. I believe,
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear back from Mr. Nisley on the easement on his property for the boring under 30. He said sometime in March, I was gonna give it till next week sometime and then reach out to him if I don't hear from him, to meet with him for the easement agreement.
He's been agreeable so far.
Last conversation I had with him was very positive.
Good.
Yeah.
Not always been that way with him. Okay. Oaks Power Station 2, or Pumping Station 2 elimination project.
that's what we just talked about. So,
Okay, Hobson Road Sewer Rehabilitation.
so you had approved the requisition for payment. Mr. Rehab completed all the lining work associated with that. They submitted videos, post-lining videos. We had reviewed those as well, found that work to be acceptable. Township staff was on site, also submitted copies there for that work. So next step with that is getting all the paperwork documentation put together so that we can make a reimbursement request to CFA for grant funds. We've been working with Kevin to get the documentation that we need from the financial side. Some of that information is going to be a canceled check for Mr. Rehab as well that needs to be submitted. So I don't know turnaround process for all that. It may be the May meeting, that first reimbursement request to CFA for 66.
Stauffer Run Pump Station West Wet Well Lining Project.
So the one thing we've been, now that weather warming up again, we're gonna reach out to the contractor to see when they anticipate getting out there. The one item that when we had bid that project, we looked at the prevailing wage requirements and they said that's a maintenance project. But in review, because we're not increasing the wet well size or anything, but as we that really stressed the need for prevailing wage rates for construction. And Just wanted to see, we've asked the contractor to say, hey, can you get us what it would be under prevailing wage rates, what the cost increase is? And my one thought was, perhaps we get prevailing wage rates to make it easier for reimbursement. Because CFA is signifying so much in that grant paperwork about the need for prevailing wage rates. As part of that process, even though when you look at it, it's a maintenance type project. That makes sense.
Fine.
But just debating, I mean,
You're right. The argument is it's a maintenance project and we do it under prevailing wage. If we do it under prevailing wage, obviously that's going to increase the cost and the grant monies won't go as far as we had hoped. Um, And we did the pipelining without it.
the pipeline.
With prevailing wage.
Yes. Is it's interesting, the prevailing wage requirements. It specifically says CIPP lining is not maintenance. They view that as a prevailing wage type project. So. the Pipeline,
So we did submit a final number of what all the projects will be. So that's, let's say, what's that do for the reimbursement cost?
The money won't go as far if we do it under prevailing.
Is it reasonable to ask
we can do
who's
that.
in charge of the?
We can have some great ones to see, and
Yeah, it's probably worth asking the question up front before we get tied into prevailing wage.
we can follow up, we can reach out to ask the question.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of almost defeats itself, doesn't it? I mean, who's gonna say,
Well, but the argument's there that it's maintenance and not construction.
yeah, I understand that. I mean, I'm just thinking though, from the contractor's standpoint, I don't know.
Well, we wouldn't be asking the contractor, we'd be asking the CFA analyst who has to approve. We could say, hey, this is a maintenance project, and we believe it's not required. However, we want to, before we complete the work, we just want to make sure that they interpret it the same way.
Okay, Stauffer, our Strasburg Pike project.
We've provided the preliminary drawing, we've provided the permit drawings for township staff to review. Once that's, they've completed their review, if they have any comments, we can get those incorporated and then work on getting that permit application submission into DEP. And then, if there's any revisions, we'll then get started on the highway occupancy permit that are needed for the project with respect to the alignment and state road.
Goes in, DEP has 60 days.
That is longer, I think it's 120.
So just so the authority understands, we're gonna be waiting 4 months for an answer from DEP.
Oh, they'll probably get back sooner than that.
There is an application fee that's nominal, somewhere from $100 to $500. I think it's been a while since the authorities had to pay a fee. And I just don't recall if that's something the authorities typically got a check for or how that process occurred.
Yeah, I would think that's an authority expense to.
Yeah, and I think there's checks, and now with DEP going to the online submission, I think they're taking credit card payments for that as well as part of that submission process. So
So you want a motion for us to approve payment for the application fee?
Well, I'm thinking the administrative aspects of it. Sometimes like we paid that fee and it was got reimbursed. Other times, I know it's been a check in the past. You have cut a check and you just attached it, but DEP's changed our process a little bit here. Can review them and see if they can still submit a check.
Yeah. Okay. That would probably be easiest.
Okay. Covered Bridge Marketplace update.
We've had a little bit of back and forth with the property owner and their representative on doing the project there in the tributary to Mill Creek. The purpose of which would be to protect the authorities' existing protect their trail that they have that goes behind those commercial properties there, and do an MS4 improvement project. So we're waiting now to hear back from them on our proposal for that project, and hopefully we can move it forward.
Okay, tapping fee analysis.
Saw the report that was generated by HRG's folks, and had some discussion about this last month. I missed your meeting last month, but I was updated about it. I think the primary questions for the authority are, assuming that you want to increase the tapping and connection fee, what would the timing of that be? And Tara had put together a suggested proposal in that regard.
So, excuse me, I would ask the authority to consider the new connection fee of $4,058 per EDU beginning in January 1st of 2026. That you would take action at your June 11th, 2025 meeting on the new connection fee and the date that it would begin. That all land development plans submitted after January 1st, 2026 would fall under that new cost for connection, and that any request for sewer connection not part of a land development plan after January 1st, 2026 would also fall under that new connection fee. So everything currently in process would stay where it is at $2,650.
And currently in process would be how, I mean, is that of today or would that be as of our June meeting, everything currently in progress?
Everything submitted up until January 1st, 2026.
Oh, so, okay, anything submitted through this year, we're gonna notify. And then that would still be grandfathered in. Okay. I'm good with that.
What's the purpose of the June 11th of this year meeting to approve it then?
The authority talked about giving everyone a 6-month time frame to know this was happening, to realize and make their consultants move faster, I guess.
And how would this affect Strasburg Pike? Because those people, would they just, as long as they have their submittals in by then?
You said land development submittal, right?
Or request for sewer connection.
I think it's unlikely that that project will be at a point where you would have told the residents that they are, that they have to connect. So I expect that would happen sometime in 26. based upon I guess that would have to be another sort of special consideration if you want to.
Yeah, I think you really need to have some type of special exception for those people that are affiliated with the Strasburg Pike. So that way, something happens with funding or design or something and going across the creek or whatever, and we end up getting delayed for 18 months, they're not screwed.
Yeah, all the correspondence that we've had with them up until now has used the 2650 number per EDU.
I think that was discussed too with when the residents were here too, that number.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine going back to some of them and saying, you know, well, it's gonna be $4,058 now. I mean,
That wouldn't be right.
no. So, yeah. But any other, I mean, sewer projects that were already in the books or something, you could put into your extended proposal or something like that, and at least that's how I feel about it.
How would that apply to say like future phases of Devon Creek? Just for example, because I know that's like a multi-year process where.
We have an agreement with Devon Creek on the portions of
Sure.
EDUs that are currently in process, and they have a reduced rate. That the project's gone through land development with phasing, and so we'd have to look at the 2650.
I don't know, they don't have final plan in for all of it yet.
They don't, they had preliminary plan in for phasing.
And
You know, I guess that's another possible decision point for the authority is that, you know, if you word it as, you know, final land development plan submission.
I don't mind if they actually get the discounted rate, but I would put a time frame like they got to pull the permit within 18 months. I mean, or they don't get it.
If they are in final land development,
Yes, if they're in final land development. Are they not in final land development?
They are for a portion of the project, but not for all of it. They've only done 2 phases of what was on the preliminary plans.
Okay, then I take that back. I assumed they were in final plan of development.
Yeah, so if they submit their final plan for the rest of it before the end of this year,
Right,
the authority's okay with the current rate, but if it's
right,
final plan submission in 26, new rate.
right.
okay, then I'll change that wording to all final land development plans submitted by January 1st, 2026. Okay.
Correct. Right.
December 30th.
Should we be notifying do we have a list of like preliminary development plan developers?
One that has an approved preliminary plan on the books at this point. We don't really have any way of knowing who might be out there working on a plan currently.
Well, yeah, if they haven't contacted the township at all yet, I understand. But I mean, anybody that has started even verbally talking to the township, how do we notify them?
Well, once the authority adopts the new fee and the time frame in which it will become effective, then we can put that on our website. We can put that on our Facebook page.
Township newsletter.
Right, down in July.
Okay,
Okay. Moving on. Municipal bid items sold.
If you remember a couple meetings ago, you gave us permission of stuff that the authority had purchased years ago, which has been updated. About. We put that on the site, municipal bid, which was an on-site all. These are the numbers that people bid, amen. So we're just looking at to release the items for sale.
Except the highest bids.
I'll make a motion to accept the highest bids for the municipal bid and release all the items listed.
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any other old business under sanitary sewer? New business under stormwater, it says none. I'm assuming that's correct.
That's correct.
New business under sanitary sewer, borrowing funds.
I think the authority had a brief discussion about this item last month. Matt had put together a schedule which showed, based upon the information that we have at this point in time, the authority is going to run out of construction dollars before the end of this year. We understand that the projects that are on that list don't always go on time, and you know that there's likely to be some delay in some of them. But we're going to be close to that point by the end of the year. We'd like to at least begin the process because it takes 3 or 4 months to get through the process. And by the time you're out of money, you don't have time to get it. I'd like to have come give a presentation to you about, you know, where the market is and what borrowing might look like for the authority at your April meeting. And you can start to have that discussion with them and then decide, you know, when you want to move forward and for how much. There is a very large project coming out of the city's plant projects. I think there's $10 or $11 million scheduled 3 or 4 years from now. Is that
January 2027.
so? And that will need to be considered, I think, as you look at doing borrowing for the other projects as well.
I think that's something you'd probably visit at another time because I still love to see how the city handles their end of the financing piece of that. And that might be a while, but the near-term stuff we need to take care of. I'm fine with getting the process started. I would be, as I see it now, I would be holding off on this as long as we can because the market's coming in our direction.
Yeah, fair. One of the things we have been talking about with the city is PennVest, the possible opportunity for PennVest funding. And I know that they're pursuing that on their end to help them with their share of the project. So that'll be part of the discussion in figuring out how we finance, especially that large project. So as long as the authority members are okay with that, we make arrangements to have Scott Shearer from PFM attend your April meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We really don't need to create another U.S. Treasury payment for $48,000, do we? Did they charge us interest on that is what I want.
I didn't do the calculation, so.
Yeah, you're talking about the arbitrage. Yeah, we earned too much interest on the money since it was. So the IRS says we gotta give it to them.
Good.
I don't know about that, but,
They know what to do with it.
I guess.
Okay. Procedures and requirements for construction of sewage.
So, every couple of years, there becomes a need to update the standard specification manual. We've identified, I think, 5 different items here that we want to update in the manual. The first is with the use of Fernco couplings, requiring the use of a stainless steel shear band wrap that goes around the outside of those. The second is with the abandonment of septic tanks, updating that requirement. Previously, or currently, it says that gives the owner the opportunity to remove the lid or crush the lid into the tank and backfill it. They found that if they crush the lid into the tank, there's some void spaces in there, and over time, you get some sediment above the tank. So we just want to eliminate the ability to crush the lid and just have it removed to eliminate that possibility of void space. The third and fourth item are grease traps. The one would be the use of grease traps requiring the coating of the extruded grease trap which matches the requirement needed for the concrete manholes. And also then giving the developers the use of an alternative grease trap from, in addition to the concrete ones. We've gotten a number of requests here recently for the use of a shear hydromechanical grease interceptor, gravity grease interceptor. So we just want to get the authority. We don't have any objections to the use of it. We want to get that incorporated into the document to give the developers the ability to have more into their select. And then the last is just requiring the saddle connection, which is used to connect into the sewer main, requiring the cast iron is fusion bonded epoxy coated. Currently, it's just a shop coating on there, and they have to then fuel coat, manufacturing off fusion bonded epoxy. We want to do that. So those are the updates, and because it's an 40 document, we get your approval on that. And then additionally, we've also received some requests to have them be made available online. Currently, just from the township, so the township who has copies of it, and then keep those individuals apprised of when any revisions are made to it. And didn't know if the board feelings one way or the other, keep the current process, or you post it online. So that was just the other thing we wanted to discuss.
Well, one of the main concerns with the grease trap, when we start looking at this, we are getting a lot of requests for it. My concern was making sure it was traffic rated. And it is, there is a concrete pad that is poured above these rockers for traffic oriented. If they are installed in drive through. So it is installed specifications for it. Could be the requirement to make sure it is traffic oriented. And with any changes, we do keep a running list, just a manual, and any changes, any verbiage or anything that we would forward those changes on to people that have purchased. We do have it electronically.
Is it best that, I mean, you guys can control it that way? Like who gets manuals and stuff like that?
When people start asking us for designs and stuff like that, we tell them, you know, we spent all the time, spent the authority's money with the engineer to come up with these specifications, and it's not free. So, and they had no argument. but we do control who gets them.
Seems reason enough to me to, keep it as a, paper as opposed to just online, that anybody could get onto it.
If you're recommending, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, we want to get the board's just direction and approval, and we can make those changes.
The other things seem fine to me
Yeah.
that you brought up, but I mean, that was the one that I thought, if the township already has a plan of attack on how those things are distributed.
No, that's, we keep the same process. It was just questions we were getting asked.
Yep, that's how I feel.
My concern was if somebody would just force your specifications offline, we don't. And then if we have a change, we don't.
Yeah.
Right, then I'll make a motion that we accept the manual updates as been presented by HRG, and we will keep the process the same, that the manual must be purchased by the township and will be tracked by the township. Updates will be given out by the township.
I'll second.
Purchased through the township.
Purchased.
Yeah, right. Yep, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any other new business under sanitary sewer? Sounds like a no. New business under stormwater.
Not this time. Next time though.
Sounds like one of the reports. Any other business? Other than the fact that the authority will be having a confidential discussion with legal counsel following this meeting. Any public comment? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.